You're listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein, and with me, as not always, is not Josh Schaefer. For Josh is apparently sick during this recording session and is not co-hosting with me. This is the first time this has happened. It's really weird. Instead, we are joined by...
Queen Bee.
Hey! So we are going to be talking today about The Princess Bride, because apparently some studio somewhere decided that would be a good movie to remake as...
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of people who are really upset about that. I mean, you have the classic. It's not only just a classic film, but it's a cult film, and it has a following.
It does.
What is it? 30 years now? 25 years? 30 years?
Oh, I mean, the kids playing in television as if it's a new thing in the movie, which, admittedly, the storybook like wraparound sections are the only part of that movie that hasn't aged.
Right.
Because everything else about it is set in a fantasy world of like the late early 1800s. There's nothing about it that looks... I mean, it looks like it's a soundstage fantasy movie that's purposely made to look like a soundstage fantasy movie. Like...
But you're going to have a lot of people who are going to have a problem with it because it is a favorite of people growing up. I remember seeing this in high school. So really big following and people saying you're just going to ruin it. Well, you can't ruin a film that it will never be ruined. That film will be great. However, if you don't do a reboot of it correctly, it's going to fail at the box office.
Well, I mean, we've had movies that have been similar in style to it. There was Stardust for, 10 years ago? That's based on a Neil Gaiman about a guy that crosses over into a parallel fantasy world, and it's more or less The Princess Bride, just with a different, story over top of it. Michelle Pfeiffer was in it. It's actually quite good if you haven't seen it.
I think I saw it. I was not impressed.
And that's the problem. It was good for what it was, but it really wanted to be in the genre of The Princess Bride, and there's only really one movie in the genre.
That has ever been successful in doing this genre of...
And even The Princess Bride was not successful when it came out. It only grew in cult following afterwards because it would play on HBO constantly.
Yeah, incessantly.
And then everyone would realize, oh my God, this movie's really fucking funny.
Yeah.
And really fucking good. But yeah, it's the perfect storm of actors and script and director that all came together. And I've read the book, The Princess Bride, and it's good, but it's not the same as the movie, which has the actors making it so much better than the book was. And the book is good for what it is. You could find all the humor and everything else in it, but there's something about that specific movie, and even trying to think about who could pull off remaking it, if that was even a concept that we thought would be fine, would be hard. How do you even remake that movie?
Well, that becomes I mean, are there really actors now who are that funny, like Billy Crystal? You can't replace Billy Crystal.
No. Well, I figure you just recast Billy Crystal.
He just put him in the same role.
You put him in old man makeup, so he looked 80 before. Now he actually is 80.
And then it works. Wait, weren't we talking about Tim Burton? Let's Tim Burton's version of the
We did talk
Princess
about
Bride.
that. Yeah, the Tim Burton Princess Bride that we talked about off camera.
All the parts are played by Johnny Depp and/or Helen Bonham Carter.
Yeah, and I'm looking for the man with 6 scissors on his left hand.
That actually could be pretty entertaining, I think, actually. I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan, but I think if you did Johnny Depp in all of his different roles, I mean, you could have the evil prince be what? Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
I was going to say Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka, there you go.
Perfect, kind of twee performance right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could see that. That's good.
Who would Jack Sparrow play?
No, Jack Sparrow is Inigo Montoya if you're going to use Johnny Depp for it. That's good.
Yeah, there you go.
And then his character, him playing Ed Wood, that's the princess.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Yeah, definitely.
And then Helena Bonham Carter, who's not a very big woman to begin with. You just CGI her to be the giant.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. Okay, we'll go with that. Let's reach out to Tim Burton to see if he'll actually do a write-up on The Princess Bride.
What he'll do is he'll wait for someone else to write the script, and then he'll get involved in it, and then he'll take the production and walk away and get paid for it, because that's what he did to, Superman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, which Superman did he do?
Death and Return of Superman. It's the one that was going to star Nick Cage and then fell apart because he got his scissor hands all over it.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, if you watch the Evening with Kevin Smith series, the first one, there's like one of the fans, because he does, just basically talking presentations after he does a movie. And he was invited to various colleges to do these talking presentations. He had a question about his time working on Death and Return of Superman, because for some reason, studios felt hiring Kevin Smith to write a Superman movie was a good idea.
No, we're not dissing Kevin Smith. We are, but we're not dissing Kevin Smith.
I mean, he even says in his presentation, he's the guy that writes dick and fart jokes, and they actually let him get near Superman, and he was shocked about it. But, But he had a good time working on it while he was doing it, and it's the thing of, like, he envisioned in his head the studio guys going, we're having a meeting with who?
Right.
The Mallrats guy? This is a good idea? But
yeah, no.
But yeah, he did a couple drafts on it, and he wrote a full big script for it, and he was actually really happy with it for what it was. But yeah, after that a couple times, Tim Burton got hired to direct it because he did the Batman movies. And he was their go-to guy for superheroes at the time, which, if you go and watch Batman, not so much.
Yeah, no.
No, he made money, but so then he got his scissor hands all over it, and he has his own script guys that come in. So they came in and basically threw out Kevin Smith's script and did their own version, and then that went on for too long. And then he had a pay-or-play contract, which meant that whether or not he made the movie, he got paid for it. So then he just walked away from it, and they had to pretty much completely redo Superman at a certain point, which is why Superman Returns, the one with Brandon Routh, which Brandon Routh is fantastic in, cost so much because they dumped all of the Death and Return budget on it and counted that as some of the overrun for how long it...
I'm really sad that they didn't bring Brandon Routh back. He's the one who plays Adam, isn't he?
He's Adam, and he actually gets to play Kingdom Come Superman in the big crossover.
In the Crisis,
Yes.
Nice,
so
okay.
I like that they're bringing everyone back for that. And they already had Brandon Ruth on script, on
right,
spec,
for Legends, right.
Yeah, so I may as well just bring him in for that too, yeah. So...
I'm really happy about that. He was actually one of my favorite Supermans.
He was a fantastic Superman. Princess Bride, though.
Yes.
So...
Who else could redo Princess Bride and do it actual justice, not just...
I feel like if we want to do it, and we want to, like, it can't be the same movie. Rob Reiner's the guy that did that one, and you may as well not try and just do shot for shot, because then at that point, what's the point in doing it?
Exactly. So it has to have your own take on it.
You want someone that has a very personal spin, who can create a stylistic, interesting movie out of it. If you want to remake Princess Bride, hire Edgar Wright, the Scott Pilgrim guy.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think he likes to work music and everything into it and do like a lot of call outs and references and everything else. I think stylistically and like working things into the beat, the theatrical score of it and everything else, he'd make a movie that would be very interesting. I just don't know who you cast in it at that point.
Well, who does he usually work with? He does work with a lot of big names, at least before they were big names.
Or right before they take a fall, like Kevin Spacey.
Chris Evans is looking for a new job.
Chris Evans as Dread Pirate Roberts would be pretty... He can rock a beard. I could see him pull that off. I'm trying to figure out people who can handle the humor, but still look good doing the physicality. And weirdly, I come upon Channing Tatum for some reason.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he could.
Like, he's gotten really good since the 21 Jump Street times. Like, he can play, like, a good, dumb kind of character. I just don't know what... I don't want him for Inigo Montoya. But there's not that many roles in there.
There's nothing that says that they can't make him bigger to be a giant. I mean, you might want a real giant. I don't know.
There really aren't that many though that are in Hollywood and can play the part.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, if you're going with what Hollywood would cast, they'd just hire a big muscle man, and then you'd get The Rock.
There's a good chance because they've already done it with the MCU. They might bring in Peter Dinklage to play the giant.
I thought you were going to say the guy who plays the Hulk right now. He just gets to play all our giants.
Mark Ruffalo? Yeah, okay.
Mark Ruffalo. Just let him play all of them.
I really like Mark Ruffalo, but I don't know if he'd be a really good giant.
But I mean, I'm always up for casting Peter Dinklage in anything. Obviously, like you want to make him play the smart, like the Fezzik character.
Oh yeah, he would be a great Fezzik.
But I would also love him as Inigo Montoya. He might be small, but he'd be he'd go commit all into the charisma.
He would. Well, we have a lot of good actors going on now from Game of Thrones who are now free to do Princess Bride type stuff. If they wanted to bring in an English cast, there are people they can pull from.
And we also have Sophie Turner, who's not a good
No,
actress.
we're not putting her in the movie. But Maisie Williams, maybe we could bring her in to play somebody.
Well, I mean,
maybe a female Inigo Montoya.
I was going to say you put Maisie Williams as Inigo Montoya because she can play the sword part.
Yep.
And then you cast Channing Tatum as her slightly larger. She just looks at him like he's a giant.
Right, exactly.
There you go. I like
See?
this.
That's a different take. Different take. So if anybody's listening to us, out of the 4 people who are listening to this podcast, get words out there, will you?
So we need a princess now.
A princess.
Yeah, who would be our princess in this?
Well, Edgar Wright likes to work with, at least according to Scott Pilgrim, Captain Marvel. What's her name? Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. She's good.
She could do a good princess.
She could do a good princess. But there's a certain attitude, and like she's good at being like a specific type of character. I don't know if she's got the princess in her though.
Okay.
But speaking of Scott Pilgrim, though, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she might be able to do that.
What else has she been in?
She was Ramona Flowers. She was in the Thing remake or prequel or whatever. Okay. She's not bad. I could see her do it. The problem is range. You got to find an actress with range that like would be good at the part and is in a similar age range to Chris Evans, because you don't want that weird thing where you get someone who's like 20 years younger than the person acting like they're the same age, or that weird May December thing. Well,
if you wanted to do a little bit different take on it, you could also bring in somebody of color too. So I don't know.
I like that.
I don't know who you'd choose. The actress, I know you don't do The Walking Dead, but the actress who plays Grace, she was also in Gallivant playing another character, and then she played a princess in Gallivant.
I mean, I like Gallivant, and that's pretty much in the same genre of what we're talking about.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And she also played Jasmine in the ABC Once Upon a Time. She could be a good princess.
Was she the princess in Gallivant?
Yes.
Okay, I like her. She's good. Yeah, she had the right attitude and charisma, and she could play out. She played well against the Gallivant actor. I could see her playing well against like Chris Evans when he's being a card. Yeah, because I mean, if you watch Not Another Teen Movie, Chris Evans can really do the.
I'm a huge fan of Chris Evans. I'll watch anything he's in. Everybody knows this about me, so.
It's good.
I'll even watch his terrible movies.
Well, Not Another Teen Movie.
Exactly. Let's see, who else? We already said bring Billy Crystal back for
obviously.
Max, because he's perfect.
You can bring back
Carol Kane too.
Yeah, bring them both back. It's fine. Yeah. You don't even have to recast those. That's fine. They now look the part. They're good.
The king, the queen. Who would you want to? Do they actually have to be any important actors?
I don't think they have to be anyone important. I mean, you could cast Sean Bean just for the fun of him not dying for once.
Who played the prince in Gallivant? What's his name? He was in Psych.
I didn't watch Psych.
He played Lassie.
I didn't watch. Sorry. I know who you're talking about. He's dumb and blustery when he wants to be.
He would be a great dumb and blustery prince. Yeah.
Yeah, he would. There's also another good guy who's really good at playing dumb and blustery is Tom Lennon.
And what was he in? Sorry.
I know him mostly from At Midnight, but he also played. He was on Lethal Weapon recently as the Joe Pesci style character.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So. But you can go completely different too. I mean, you can bring in like Idris Elba. Have it completely different, Yeah, I don't know.
If you bring in Idris Elba, then I'm like, why is he not the Man in Black?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he could actually pull that off.
Or you give him the heavy role and he's the six-fingered man.
Oh. Ooh, that would be different. See, I like bringing in the only thing that Princess Bride is missing is color. There's absolutely no color. It's complete cast. Yeah, whitewash cast. So if we're gonna go with what's current and being done right now and media and everything and trying to bring in color, we could do a really interesting color cast.
I like that. That's a good one. That is good.
So, and I think he'd really be able to stretch his chops. He's been able to play anything. So.
Oh, yeah. You have him, instead of Johnny Depp, cast him in all the parts.
Right. I'd watch that. Definitely watch that. So.
But it does bring us back to the idea that, like, Princess Bride, if we wanted to remake it, I wouldn't say it would ruin the original, because it's fine.
Right.
There's been plenty of, like, continuations and remakes that have happened that don't ruin the originals. That's some geeks say, but they always like to say it. And they won't come out for a Princess Bride remake anyway, because they'll just be mad that they remade the Princess Bride. But like, I was looking at trailers recently, and they have a new Addams Family movie coming out.
Right.
And I'm like,
animated.
I don't see the point. Because how are you going to improve on Raul Julia and Angelica Houston and Christina Ricci?
Ironically, the animated versions look a lot like the animated versions from Scooby-Doo. I don't know if anybody's noticed that, but they do.
Well, it's the same company probably making most of those.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't hate the animated movie that they're making, because if you go back and watch the 1960s one, it's fairly sanitized too. It's just, you had such perfect movies in the 1990s, and it's so perfectly dark.
I mean, if you're going to do an Addams Family, what I'd like to see is a continuation. Maybe a Pugsley and a Wednesday Addams doing something.
I have a trailer article
as
that
adults.
I'm posting. I have a trailer article I'm posting tonight, which of course will go up the next day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like, why not just follow Wednesday and whoever she's with as a new generation? And then you just make Angelica Houston grandmama.
Exactly.
Yeah,
see, that would work. That'd be great.
They're all the right age for it now, and it's not like Angelica Houston or Christina Ricci does all that much at this point.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And they'd probably be up for the challenge too. So
yeah, it'd be fun. Plus, Christina Ricci was so good as Wednesday. She
really was.
Like, Raul Julia and Angelica Houston were fantastic in the movie, but Christina Ricci's character is what stole the show every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think what Hollywood needs to do, especially if they're going to be redoing stuff or rehashing stuff, maybe instead of redoing or rehashing, create something new from what was.
Yeah. I mean,
bring it forward.
They wanted, for the longest time, the author was trying to figure out if he could write a sequel to Princess Bride, Buttercup's Baby. And he only ever got one chapter in. And I don't know how much of that was a joke. And like, yeah, I could continue this. And how much of it was him being like, yeah, I could actually continue this. But it never materialized. Just check in and see if they can figure out how to make something out of a sequel instead of doing a continuation, or a remake. Do a continuation instead.
The Adventures of Dread Pirate Roberts.
With just Inigo Montoya going around.
Exactly.
And then he runs into Maisie Williams just being Maisie Williams. The two of them have fun together.
Well, she is Westeros. Let's see how that works out. Now we know where it's located.
Oh, I like that. It's just off to the east from Europe.
Sure. That works.
Why not?
Okay. I think we're good.
All right. This has been Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein.
And I'm Queen Bee.
And we will see you next time.